Hello everyone. My name is Chris Kraris. I'm the chairman of the board of White Star Tours, and I'm so delighted to be able to talk with you today. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward today to just welcoming you and giving you some ideas of travel for 2021. We always love coming to the greater Albany area of New York. As we go all around the country making these presentations, certain cities really appeal to us, and we love seeing your state capital in Albany and the beautiful sights and sound of your countryside. So join with us as we bring you some great news about travel for 2021. So again, this is a very exciting time of the year, although this year was a very different year for all of us. I don't think any of us ever expected to ever be part or experience anything like this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic that we're still experiencing in most parts of our country and certainly all around the world. But it came to us, and it looks like pretty much our country stood up tall and took all the hits, and it was a terrible period of time over the last 6 months or so, but we're coming out of it. Just last week, I read an article from the New York Times, which told us that nationwide, the number of positive cases over the last couple weeks has dropped 10%, and that's very significant. It means that we're coming out of it. The number of deaths per 100,000 people who test positive has dwindled. The vaccine appears to be just around the corner. So although we went through some very difficult times, there's a lot of hope for the future. And that's what we're talking about today. Today we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing in the world of travel for the year 2021. 2021 is a very special year for our company and our family because it's our 50th anniversary in business. There's not too many companies in any business around the United States or almost anywhere in the world that have survived 50 years in business. And we've been so fortunate to have so many wonderful co-workers and family members who have been part of this incredible journey for 50 years. When you get your tour book that you should have received, and it looks like this, you should have received by now. And if you have not, of course, just call our office and we'll send you one. But if you look at pages 2 to 5, we've given you a history of our company, of our family, what got us here over these wonderful 50 years. And it gives you a brief biography and a brief listing of all the members of the key workers of our company to sort of bring you up to snuff as to who they are and what they do. So many of you have always been curious about what the people look like that you talk to every day, and they appear in the book. So what are we doing for next year? Well, first of all, I want you to remember this statement more than any other. The safety of our clients is our first priority. Coming out of this pandemic, like it appears we are, we know that there's only brightness in the future. And we also know that we have had to be sure that anyone who is traveling with us now or will travel in the future won't have to worry about anything at all regarding their safety and their health. We have many groups on the road already. From the middle of July, when buses were allowed on the road, we have groups from all over the country going to many different places all over the country. And we needed to be sure that we could guarantee them of being safe. So let's talk a little bit about that, because that's something that you as group leaders are going to have to answer to your group members. First of all, what about the bus itself? Well, we have been assured by every bus company, and we have found it to be the case, then at almost every instance, they have an electronic fogging device that they use to completely disinfect the buses before they ever come to the destination to pick you up. In addition, there's an HVAC light disinfecting system that is now part of every bus. So all the air that you breathe in has been disinfected by this new HVAC system that are in all buses. We make sure, of course, that everybody's wearing masks, that there's hand cleaners everywhere, and we also provide you as group leaders a thermometer to be sure that anybody that gets on your bus has not been affected. And this has worked perfectly so far with all the groups that have gone. When you get to the motels, every single hotel and motel that we use around the country has these fogging devices where your rooms are completely disinfected. They have made every provision and every safety possibility to be sure that things are not handled in a way that you could be exposed in any way. In the restaurants and in the theaters, we have developed this thing called a bubble, where every group is treated like they're inside a bubble. And this is how it works, because your group members are going to ask you about these questions. When you go into a meal, for example, you're all seated together because remember, you're traveling together on the bus. So there are no issues and no real reason to be socially distanced on the bus because you're being checked for fevers. You already have avowed that you have no issues. So you already are safely as a group and you're treated as a single group. So when you go into a restaurant, you're seated all together at tables and they feed you that way and they look after you that way. But then around you, they have space of 10 to 15 feet where no one is seated anywhere near you, and therefore you're inside a bubble. The same thing is done when you go to a theater. To all the many wonderful shows and theaters, you are treated as a group that you're all together, but they put a bubble around you where there's no people around who are close to you so that you're protected. Remember what we said, the safety of our clients is our first priority. So we took that worry away from you as group leaders and your group members, and we want you to share that with them because it's critical that they feel that they don't have anything to risk. Your group members want to travel, friends. They want to travel. They have been cooped up in the year 2020. Many of your group members have traveled 4, 5, 6 times a year. And a lot of them have traveled with our company for all those years. But this year was sort of not really good for them. They've been stuck in their homes. They've been quarantined. They weren't even able to go out and visit their families, many of them. But as we come out of this pandemic, they're going to want to travel. So get ready for 2021 ahead of time. I can share with you that we have a lot of groups that are still going out for the rest of this year. But the number of reservations we have for 2021 are double what we've ever had for the upcoming year. That tells us a story, and it should tell you a story, that everyone is extremely anxious to get on the road again. So we're excited also. We've weathered the storm. We're one of the only group travel companies in the country that have survived this pandemic. We have all our many wonderful staff members still with us. Many of them have been working with us for over 30 and 35 years, and that's a blessing for our company. But you have that confidence in knowing that they're all still with us, they're all working hard, they're in here every day, and they're getting ready to welcome you and your groups on trips throughout the rest of this year and for 2021. I'd like to take a couple minutes to tell you about some trips that are most popular that you might want to think about when making your plans for 2021. You should have received in the last week or so this booklet which says our special offerings for 2021. And with it we had this yellow sheet which said which trips look pretty good to you. In here, we put the trips that are easiest for you to sell as a group leader. Remember, the one book is, this book has all the trips in it, 250 trips. This one has, the one that you just got has about 50 of the most popular and most requested trips. So don't confuse the two books that we've sent to you. This book has all our tours, well over 200 tours, and there's pricing in here, but this book does not include bus transportation because this goes to every corner of our country, and it did not specifically indicate the pricing from your place. However, this book here includes bus prices. So all the pricing you see in this one that you just got recently, and the one we're going to ask you to talk about when we call you, includes the bus, using a bus from your area, one you might request, a bus driver you might like, but we will charter the bus for you, and the price is in the price that's quoted here. A big question that many people are asking is, how many people should go on a bus nowadays? Remember, all buses nowadays have 56 seats in them. A lot of people thought that they had to worry about social distancing on the bus, but as I said earlier, it doesn't matter because you're treated as a group, and you all are coming on there with no fear of having COVID-19. So you can have as many people on the bus as you want. However, if you want to have fewer for your own peace of mind, that's fine. The pricing that's in this book is based on 35 or more paying people on the bus. 35 or more paying people on the bus. Normally it's 40 or more, but we've lowered it to 35 to make it easier on you. You also will be getting 2 free trips per bus if you have 35 or more people. And do we stick to the 35? If you end up with 32, we're still going to honor it. Our goal is to have you travel, not to cancel trips. And in addition, you get a $200 rebate for every overnight trip of 3 or more nights that you take in a year. So for the group leaders, we try to reward you for all your hard work by not only your complimentary trips, but the $200 rebate. So in the next couple of weeks, a member of our staff will be calling you to discuss this book and to help you perhaps make some suggestions for travel for your group. We understand that many of your groups have not met for months now, and lots of times you wait to ask your group members where they want to go and when they want to go. But this is a different year. It's a different year for all of us. You can't wait till January or February to ask them that. So they're going to be looking to you as their leader to pick some places, give them some dates, and get them excited as soon as you get into that first meeting, whether it be in November or in December of this year or the first 3 months of 2021. So you're going to see in this book of very popular trips some real highlights. I want to tell you a few of them. For example, at the beginning of the book, you're going to see that we have made some very special 50th anniversary celebration trips. There's about 6 locations where we're doing a specific celebration of our 50th anniversary that will be very different than what you normally find in those locations, such as Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, Ocean City, Maryland, and the likes. You'll love those trips. Take a good look at them. From there, we go into some other trips that are extremely popular. You all know that one of the most popular trips that you can do, and this one would appear on page 10 in your book. If you have the booklet with you, the one that I just told you just received is on page 10, and it talks about Sight and Sound in the Amish lands of Pennsylvania. This has been one of the most requested trips that we have in our entire offering of hundreds of trips. More people come to see the Sight and Sound show than any other show in our country, and they come from every corner of our country. It's located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The show that was supposed to be shown in 2020 was Queen Esther. So as you know, every year they do a special show. Last year it was the show of Jesus. This year it was to be Queen Esther, but most of it got canceled out. So they decided for one of the first times ever to return that same show for 2021. So starting in March 15th all the way to the end of the year in 2021, Queen Esther will be appearing at Sight and Sound. one of the most amazing theaters in our country. For those who have never tried it, take your group there. You will love it. Plus, it's a full day of activities. You can go into the Amish lands for 2, 3, or 4 days, where we have so many other things for you to see and enjoy. Another popular destination that is really coming back now strong, and that's Washington, D.C. We have been watching too much of Washington, D.C. recently, haven't we all? With the pandemic and all the nonsense with politics going on. But now it's time to go and enjoy the beautiful capital of our country that has a lot of new things to see when you visit it. There's a place out in the northern part of Kentucky and southern part of Ohio called the Ark Encounter. Many of you have seen it, but those who have not, it's a real treat to have your group go visit. There's a replica of the Ark that was made thousands of years ago. And it's certainly, groups have just loved it. I advise you to take a look at it. Nashville, Tennessee has always been such a popular destination, and the Opryland Hotel has opened up so many dates for us at discounted prices. Take a look at that one also, which is on page 14 in that booklet. Cape Cod, Massachusetts has been another wonderful destination. And even if you've been there, there's so many other new things to see up there, including a side trip to Cape Cod and a wonderful and memorable boat ride. Down in Norfolk, Virginia, every year at the end of April, there's a tremendous celebration. It used to be called the Azalea Festival, but now it's called the International Tattoo Show, which is one of the most fantastic shows that you'll ever enjoy. No, it has nothing to do with tattoos on your arms. It has to do with all kinds of incredible synchronized marching. And people who see that every year say it's one of the most amazing shows that they'll ever see. For those who haven't heard of it, you will look like a hero to your group members if you take them to see the International Tattoo Show in Virginia. Michigan's a wonderful state for you to visit, highlighted with the visit to Mackinac Island. Put that on your list. Of many places to go and see around the country, we looked at the AARP magazines, and so what are the things that people like to do most when they go on a trip? And it was listed simply, they all want to have a lot of daytime activities. They all want to see a lot of shows in the evening. They don't want to go to bed early. They like to still go to casinos, so if you want to go to a casino, you certainly may. But train rides have gotten more popular, so we have train rides speckled throughout the book to see one destination we called Ride the Rails in West Virginia, a place where you get 2 and 3 train rides over a 3-day period. The people just love it. Look at that one. That's a real treat also on page 21. Canada is a wonderful place to visit. As I always say, it's when you go, it's like taking a bus ride to Europe because the culture changes, the food changes. There's 2 wonderful destinations up there that we recommend. One is Niagara Falls, Canada. Who doesn't want to see Niagara Falls one more time? So take your group there, or over to Montreal and Quebec, where the language even changes, and you get to see a culture that's completely different the one that you experience here in the United States. Down in the South, Savannah, Charleston are just very popular destinations, very highly regarded by all the groups that get there. The Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and all their wonderful shows are just something that you should take a look at and get your group to. I'm going through a lot of trips, but there's so many more. I always am intrigued when people say, you know, we've been taking trips. We think we've seen everything there is to see in the United States. Not even close. Even those that I just mentioned here, probably many of you have never gotten to. Let's talk about the New England states. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, spectacular beauty of a part of the United States that many of your people certainly would love to see. Going westward, Branson, Missouri still remains one of the most popular destinations in our country, highlighted by their incredible number of shows and other things to see in those beautiful Ozark Mountains. A real interesting cross-country trip for you to take highlights you up into South Dakota and places west. We call it the Black Hills of South Dakota, and then culminating in beautiful Yellowstone National Park. For most of you, it would be about a 10-day trip. And don't worry about the lengths of the trips. People are tending to go to longer trips nowadays. And they don't mind the cost if it costs a little bit more, because they realize that this is their one shot to get to see so many different places. When you go from anywhere in the eastern part of the United States all the way out to South Dakota and Yellowstone, they're going to see at least 15 different locations and places that they've read about and maybe would never have a chance to see. Remember this, a lot of your people are saying, if not now, when are we going to go see these things? They're not that afraid of this pandemic anymore. We have found that seniors actually are the ones that are the bravest. And under proper precautions, they can enjoy themselves and see things that they wanted to see their whole lives. Remember, if they don't go now, when will they? Just a couple other places. New Orleans has bounced back so well. They even got threatened by recent hurricanes, but they're open and full of the fun and excitement that everybody remembered about them. The Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, great places to visit. At Christmas time, to see the Biltmore is a treat, and we mentioned Nashville. To stay in the Opryland Hotel during the Christmas holidays is something that you'll never forget, with their 1 million poinsettias that decorate all of the inside of the property. We have some New Year's Eve trips that you might want to enjoy. Some of your clients, when the Christmas holidays are over, they get a little depressed. So taking them on a New Year's Eve trip is really a treat. Think about it for this year. There's even time for you to think about some trips yet for the remainder of 2020. We have lots of trips that are going yet in the months of October, November, and December, and it's not too late for you to book one of them, and maybe that New Year's Eve trip would be a good idea. The African American trips that we have in our book, there's several of them that highlight the beautiful culture and the history of the African American folks. We have them in Washington, D.C., Alabama, Detroit, Michigan, and places all over the country. Ask about them as you go through the tour book. We also have a bunch of new trips. Did we discover new places in the United States? Of course we haven't. But we have found some new places to see, some new interesting topics for your people to enjoy. And they're listed under new trips. Like we have one, believe it or not, that was very popular last year, and we put it in as a new trip. We call it our Kentucky Bourbon Trail Trip. Last year we had 10 different buses that went on a Kentucky bourbon trail, and they visited the many bourbon distilleries. It doesn't mean your people like to drink like crazy, but they enjoy to go in there and taste and see how they make these things. They love to visit wineries, so we try to incorporate wineries for your folks. And we give them any opportunity to get into casinos because they love the excitement. Are they heavy gamblers? No. Are they heavy drinkers? No. But they do love the excitement of these destinations. And finally, cruising. Cruising is coming back. Cruising is coming back. Almost all the cruise lines are going to open up their doors and start being on the sea starting in the middle of November of 2020. So try to think about taking a cruise. You know, one statement we'll make about travel for 2021, and I remember saying this back in 2001 when we had the tragedy of 9/11. And everybody thought we would never travel again. And only a month later, everybody started traveling again. And there was no safer time to get on an airplane, to get on a bus, or to do anything than right after 9/11. And that's where we find ourselves today. There's no safer time. No places are cleaner than they are nowadays. There's no better place and better time than to start traveling right now. So we ask you to please have this book handy, the last one, and you can have both books handy, but especially this one. And have the yellow sheet. Maybe you can go through it and jot down a few places that you would like to try. Remember, you're not under any obligation at all. We're calling you and having a little conversation with you over the next couple weeks and trying to help you get a head start on travel for your group. We'll ask you, what trip do you think you want to try? What date you want to try? We'll send you a bunch of beautifully produced full-color flyers. So when your group does meet, or when you're able to make contact with your group members, you are already armed with as much information and get them all excited for travel for next year. So that's my talk to you today. We're delighted. We're excited here at White Star Tours. We're excited because we think, as bad as 2020 was for all of us, 2021 is going to be a year that we're going to be able to celebrate coming out of the terrible memories that we all had to endure over this year. So thank you for being part of our White Star team. Thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. And we sure look forward to a wonderful year of travel with you and your group for 2021. God bless you all.